everyone. I have a fascinating story to tell this morning. But before I start, I'd like my youngsters to tell their story.
My name is Chief Popana. I'm a head of supervision. I oversee the team leaders and help all my colleagues with Kannada language forms.
My name is Baki Sugandha. I am associate trustee and team leader. I make sure my team comes on time every day, and thus I create work. The main activity of all Amba organizations is giving visual and functional data entry for companies.
My name is Siju Sikil and I am team leader and associate trustee. Our focus at Amba is on bringing sustainable livelihood to adults with intellectually disability, very low IQ, below 65 and no capacity to go through formal education. We do this by using information technology.
I am Ravi, Simi, Roshan, Ravikiran, and I manage hardware, software, and networking related problems at Amba.
My name is Priya Chandrasekharan. I am CII Women's Exemplar 2013 for Education and Head of Training for Amba. Peer training makes us sufficient at doing customer application form data entry.
My name is Monica. I am a computer operator. I can do 15 forms in one day.
My name is Praveen. I am a computer operator. I can do 60 forms in one day. I will retire on 2049.
Our productivity is only 20% after regular data operators, but we are 100% accurate and keep all deadlines.
Thank you so much. So this is the privilege I've had for the last 15 years to work with this fascinating community. They've showed courage at every stage that I've worked with them. They are leaders par excellence. So as my colleagues told you, we represent business hubs, but with a small difference. The youngsters who execute the work are people with moderate to severe intellectual disabilities. If I may just get that disability clear to all of you, if you look at the images on the screen, you see the blue images. It's the IQ levels of you and I. Most of us are between 80 and 120. And of course, I'm sure there are some Einsteins in the audience where there are stilts a bit. But having said that, if you look at the orange icon, the orange image, we are talking about people with learning disabilities, slow learners, people with dyslexia, autism, and we don't address that community because there are solutions available for that community, and they can go out and work in the mainstream. The community we serve are people with cognitive and developmental disorders. All their milestones get delayed, and their IQ is so low that they cannot cope with the open system of learning and employment. So therefore, Amba has come up with a solution which is within partnerships and collaborations. So we collaborate with special institutions across India, And we use their infrastructure, we use their trainers, and take our learning across to them. We call them Amba Certified Partner Centers. And to date, we have about 449 collaborations, all the way from Assam down to Kanyakumari, within 25 states in India. The biggest challenge our youngsters have is the fact that their social skills are just not developed. Take the case of Jeet, who's here sitting in the audience. He's one of the smartest young men at Amba. And after 2 years of working with us, his parents, who are educators, wanted him to go out and work in the mainstream. So we got him a job in a placement agency. But within a few weeks, the managing director called me and said, he's not able to adjust out here. We don't want to patronize him. So the first thing we did was we brought him back to Amba. And today, Jeet is the senior most peer director at Amba. So he comes in at 7:30 in the morning. He supervises cleaning. He downloads the work. He disseminates the work to all the leaders and their teams. And then he supervises the leaders. He says, Amba is my place, and I am responsible for it. So this is what empowerment does, and why it was so important for us to start Amba Certified Partner Centers across India. To give you another example, it's really hard for our youngsters because of the fact that they have huge health issues, seizures particularly. Bharati, who was the runner-up for CII Women Exemplar 2017, for education. There are times when she gets 33 muscular seizures in just 30 minutes. How can you expect a company to take her into their organization? It's too much of a responsibility, right? Within all these Amba certified partner centers that we have across India, 80% of them are in villages and small towns. And most of the families that we address are people below the poverty line. If you look at these two sisters who are working at Amba, they came from the slums of Rajajinagar. They were living in hutments when they came to us. Their parents didn't have work. But today, between the two of them, they earn 17,500, and the family has moved to a 3-room house. Our youngsters are extremely vulnerable. This is another reason why they cannot adjust to working and being employed within the mainstream. He was walking down a railway line, and he saw the railway line stopped. So he said, oh my goodness, if a train comes by now, there's going to be a huge accident. So he went looking for someone that he could tell about what had happened. But then he didn't realize it was a railway go-down. The security threatened him, and to cut a long story short, they beat him up so badly that he couldn't sit for days. Now, this upset me so much that I also happen to be on the National Board of Special Olympics. And leveraging the area directors of Special Olympics in all the states in India, we did a signature campaign within schools. And within 3 months, we got 11 million signatures. 11 million more people knew about this community of this vulnerable community of youngsters with intellectual disability. As you can see, we culminated the whole signature campaign with Akshay Kumar coming there. And yes, Sunil walked the ramp with Akshay Kumar. Now you can stand up and take an applause. So the Amba concept revolves around learning and employment. Let me talk about the learning for a moment. I need to get one thing clear to all of you. We do not teach this community how to use the computer like you and I can. Because if they could go out and study in the mainstream, right? What we do is we use the computer as a tool to first reinforce the alphabet as an image. Thereafter, we take them into existing software like the Office software and teach them how to do data entry, which is visual data entry, within the software. To give you an example, when we take them into Excel, it's only for them to get the experience of doing data entry within cells and nothing else but that. But the third part of the training, I think, is key. You know, like in aviation, pilots crash within the simulator, and that's all right. But it's only when they stop crashing that they take on the responsibility of flying you and me all over. Similarly, what we've done is we've factored in a simulation process using dummy forms. And when their efficiency is absolutely maximized, meeting SLAs of the clients that we work for, that's when we bring them on to live work. Ravi Kiran is a young man assessed by NIMHANS with an IQ of 11. When he came to us, he had absolutely no ability to even put pen to paper. But 3.5 years down the line, thanks to Priya, who's sitting here, he was able to he became a multiple tasker. He could not only do data entry within maybe 12 forms of 64 fields, but he was also a trainer to his colleagues with higher IQ. He is the first point of training for visiting special educators who come to train at the Amba Core Center. This young man with no ability to put pen to paper is part of the hardware team today. He sets up laptops outside for training every day. But I think the most fascinating thing that Ravi Kumar does is that he travels from Nelamangala to New BL Road, 30 kilometers one way, changing 2 buses every day using the visual matching process that we've taught him. Ravi? Needless to say, the disability we work with is a wide spectrum. So therefore, our youngsters will take their time in going through the training. But at the end of 6 months, 1 year, and as in the case of Ravi, 3.5 years, whatever the time it takes them, they are able to do accurate 2-window data entry. Now, these are the kind of jobs our youngsters can do. These are young people who cannot recognize A, B, or C. But for 8 years, they were doing the customer application form data entry for telecom companies. They were doing welcome letters. They were doing receipt printing. They were doing complicated back office work. Aside from that, we worked for all the other telecommunications organizations like Airtel, Idea, and Reliance thereafter. Dinshaw ice cream was a challenge because it was the documentation of the inflow of milk from farmers and SHG women to the collection centers of Dinshaw ice cream. And it was being done in 3 languages. But our youngsters managed to cope with it in Nagpur. We started with 20 people in Nagpur, and they went on to do 10,000 forms of data entry every day. And the organization grew to 150. But then, in 2015, we had this huge disrupt at Amba. All of you must have heard that global automation hit us, and it hit Amba badly. In fact, most of our jobs went to automation. But then the good story is that right through 2016, my team and I, we researched all the different possibilities that there are. And today we've come up with solutions within the same organizations, but in the automation scenario. The amazing thing is that my youngsters are doing back-end annotations for artificial intelligence solutions in the Bay Area. And this solution has actually brought about possibilities which are so amazing. These guys who are like babies, okay? They're really like babies. They're like you and me, but babies inside. And they are doing this kind of complicated and responsible work for artificial intelligence solutions. But we don't want to be caught napping again. So community participation is key. And community participation is something that we are inviting from all organizations, colleges, to be able to come in and work with us to see what are the possibilities that we haven't figured out as yet. Because for all you know, there are 100 other possibilities available that these young men and women could do. And in the kind of scale that we've enabled, it's really, really important that we match the work that we bring in to the training that we do. As you can see, we didn't have any benchmark to work with when we started, so it took quite a long time. It took nearly 10, 11 years for us to fine-tune that curriculum. But in 2015, I went out and got in support from organizations to actually broad-base my team and to scale to what we are today. Our target, of course, is huge because we've got 10 million youngsters with moderate to severe intellectual disabilities in India. And to reach them, we've got to really find catalysts that can bring in change, that can create a movement, that will go on not just in our lifetime, but way beyond our lifetime. Every single young man at the Amba Core Center, when I say young man, I mean young man or woman at the Amba Core Center, is a leader first. They are data operators, yes, but they are also trainers, every single one of them. They are trainers, supervisors, quality analysts to their level of ability. So in Ravi Kiran's case, it may be just one person at a time. But with Jeet, he can have 25 people under him that he can manage. But we couldn't have done anything that we have done to date if it weren't for ICT. It is ICT, information communication technology, that has enabled us to scale the way we have, that has enabled us to monitor the scale, to enable quality in work. Without ICT, there would be no Amba. We have been acknowledged locally, nationally, and internationally. As you can see, even the United Nations has empaneled us as advisors for this particular niche community. But what we are really proud of are our peer participants, our peer recipients. Priya, who won the CII Women Exemplar for Education in 2013. Sidjo, who won the Helen Keller Award for the exemplary employee that he is. And of course, Bharati, who won the 2017, she was the runner-up for the CII Women Exemplar 2017. But may I leave you with a small thought? When all of you are out in public spaces, whether it's in a bus or a train, at a metro, on streets outside, if you see a youngster who looks like you and I, behaving slightly odd or like a baby, do remember it's probably someone from our community and be kind to them. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.